You're tuned in to Women in America, the podcast that dives deep into the issues shaping gender equality in the U.S. and beyond. Hosted by Pari and Eve, public health professionals by day, content creators by passion, we bring you expert insights, compelling stories, and actionable strategies to push the fight for equality forward. This season, Rights at the Crossroads unpacks the intersections of reproductive rights and gender justice in today's America.
On this episode of Women in America, Eve sits down with fellow content creator Sylvia Salazar to talk through her experiences on how the feelings of being an immigrant in the U.S. have changed since January. Let's dive in.
So I have to tell you something. I am so biased towards Colombia in a good way. I love traveling internationally. And I'm of the mind that I try not to travel to the same place more than once because there's so many places to go in the world. When I go in November, I will have been to Colombia 4 times. That's how much I love Colombia.
But you've been to different areas because I know that you went to Cartagena. I know you went to Medellin. You probably went to Bogota.
Yeah. And that's where I'm going again in November.
Which is where I'm from.
Yes.
Which is where, I know it sounds rude of me to say this, but I kind of discourage people from going to Bogota just because it's such a chaotic city.
Yeah.
That I don't think it gives tourists the best impression of my country. I'm like, no. How about you go to Medellin that is smaller, less traffic, less congestion, because you can be stuck 2 hours away.
Yeah.
What would be considered a street here.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's public transportation, but the public transportation is also stuck. So you're just sitting there for 2 hours. And you can't move. So you can't run more than 2 errands a day.
It's
you're going to be unproductive.
Fun. I think the last time I went, my hotel was close to everything else I had to do. So I didn't notice it. But I have another close friend who is also from Bogota. And she has given me so many warnings about the traffic situation that you have to plan everything you want to do nearby. You're not going to get anything done. Okay. So you are a mom, right? A dog mom and a human mom.
Oh, yeah. Human first.
Okay.
And then because of COVID and because I only have one child who was really struggling with the pandemic, I had the great idea to become a dog mom, which I had never had a dog in my life.
Okay. But
so
she's
I
beautiful.
Didn't know he the dog, she the child.
Right.
I'm a cat person. Don't tell him.
Oh.
Yeah.
A little bit of judgment. Sorry. A little bit of judgment. Yeah. Let me take it down a notch.
But my husband is allergic, so having a cat was not even an option.
Yeah.
And we were like, okay, we're not going to make another child, so let's get a dog.
A fur baby.
Yes. And I thought they were going to bond immediately. No, this dog imprinted on me. I have never felt this love and devotion in my life. It is just crazy. And I have to be very careful when my dog and my child are interacting. I cannot come near because he'll be like, bye, and he'll come to me. He gets jealous if I hug her. He'll be like, hey, meet me too.
Yeah, what about any other kids?
This is not good behavior. She was first. 34 hours of labor. No.
Yeah, you I just picked up.
Yeah.
So I have a senior dog. He's 14. So I can relate to that. Unlike yours, though, anytime I bring a new person in the house, he will switch teams immediately because he just loves people. And he's like, do you have good hands to pet me with? Great. I'm gone. I want to talk about your daughter, though. Does she resonate with the Colombian heritage? Do you teach her about it?
We do. It's really funny because I think she might identify as Colombian. And I'm like, well, your Spanish needs work. Because she does speak Spanish, but she has, I don't know that I would say an accent. It's just the way she speaks. You can tell she's not a native speaker. She can roll her R's and her verb conjugation is sloppy. But I don't know if kids that are Spanish speakers first also make the same mistakes because irregular verbs can be very tricky in Spanish. But she considers herself Colombian. She's very proud of the Colombian heritage, dancing traditions. She wants to celebrate those. She doesn't love it when I'm very on her about speaking Spanish because my husband's family, their second language is Portuguese, not English. So you doing Spanglish is not going to be an option. You need to be speaking Spanish. And if you need help with a word, I can help you, but we're going to have the conversation. So I've been mean lately, and I threatened to say...
Okay, wait. I don't think it's possible for you to be mean. So I think when you say mean, that version is not what most people think of as mean.
This is why I had food before joining you.
Okay.
Because you have not met me when I'm hangry.
I have not.
Okay.
I don't want to.
Yeah, no. My version of mean is that I joke that I'm going to invite her Spanish teacher to dinner if she doesn't speak Spanish. And she's like, no, mama.
No, don't do
and
it.
I'm like, because I have tried saying I'm going to like charge you money. I say like, we have tried so many different things. Like my husband and I have flipped to speaking Portuguese only. I'm like, oh, you want to speak another language? Fine, we're going to speak Portuguese. And she's like, no, please. Like, we've done everything we can think of.
Oh
and my
my
latest
God.
one is like, I'm going to invite your Spanish teacher to dinner because you clearly don't know how to speak Spanish. No, mama, please. I will. Like,
okay, so
I changed the language on a TV show and it's like super annoying. Hola, amiguitos, ¿cómo está? And like, it's like the mouth moves one way, the language, like the dubbing is crappy.
She will appreciate this when she gets older. But does she have Colombian friends or do you? Because you were telling me the other day that something about like code switching, like when you take her to school and things like that. So, I mean, do you have a lot of Colombian friends or do you feel like that's not like a large community where you are? And
okay,
so
we're in Oregon.
Right.
So the diversity of Oregon is quite limited.
Yeah.
We do have like a group of Colombian friends and families that we got together. The Colombian people got together on 4th of July to have a barbecue.
Great.
With Latin music, Carol G. So there's that, but not like our like school friends. There's only like 2 Latino kids on her grade.
Wow. That's it.
Yeah.
And not even Colombian, just Latino in general.
Yeah. There's one other Colombian mom that I know who has like a child that is like much, much, much younger that just joined the school this year. Before that, it was nothing. So like the conversation that you and I had for the audience too, it's like I kind of feel like I'm wearing like Miss Universe, but not in a good way. Like I'm wearing the sash of the Colombian flag whenever I enter the school and I have to be very careful of how I move. How I move my hands, because I move my hands a lot. But then like, okay, no, these are like white Americans. Like, don't call your attention. Just like keep your hands still. Like, don't make like weird noises.
Because Colombians talk with a lot of hand gestures, and like this is part of speaking Spanish is using your hands.
And then like I dance, or like make like no hip movements. Like just keep it under control.
Don't dim your shine. Why do you feel like you have to do that?
But it's just like we don't need like it's kind of like a representation thing. Like it depends on the space where I'm at. I'll be like more relaxed. But others, I'm like, okay, if I'm not aware of like who's watching, I'll be like way more control. When I like make friends in the school and then we hang out, then I'm just like, okay, then I'm a little more relaxed. Or I invite them over to my house to, for example, my favorite holiday is New Year's Eve.
Me too. I like the fireworks and all the gold. Like black and gold is my jam. So that's like the perfect holiday for me.
But then we do all the traditions. Have you enjoyed a Colombian New Year's? Like midnight strikes and it is at least 30 minutes of activities.
I was in Colombia for New Year's 2 years ago. I went for Christmas and we did all of the big time Christmas lights in Medellin and then was also there for New Year's and it was like huge party.
Did they give you the grapes? Do you need to make wishes with each grape?
Yes.
You need to run around the block with a suitcase so that you get to travel a lot. You're supposed to be wearing brand new yellow underwear inside out, not outside your clothes, but like...
My friend that I was visiting did not share all of this with me, so I'm going to go yell at her after this that she neglected to give me the full Colombian education.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And so I have invited American friends over to my house for Colombian New Year. I had to do 2 batches because Americans are not really that into New Year. So they all want to go to bed early. And I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, we just watched like we're in Oregon. So we're 3 hours behind the East Coast. So they're like, we just watched the New Year ball drop and then we go to bed. And I'm like, no, we have to party. So I made like a New York edition. So I made a 9 p.m. Oregon time and I did the whole thing. I was like, okay, do you have your, like a list of 12 wishes ready? Everybody needs to have 12 grapes, 9 p.m., 12 Eastern, hit. And I was like, okay, like start shoving grapes in your mouth, make a wish with each grape. Then you have to count money. You don't count the money first because you're going to be putting the grapes in your mouth. Like that's just sloppy bacteria.
Wait, time out. Is this very specific to Colombia? Because now I'm recalling last year on TikTok, all of his grape eating went viral
Latinos,
around New Year. Okay, so it's not just Colombian, it's a Latina tradition?
I believe it started in Spain, that there was a oversupply of grapes one year.
Mm-hmm.
I could be completely wrong. And then the king decided to make this and like they all adopted it. I don't know.
Wow,
Like,
that's a
all
great
the
marketing strategy.
Heck yeah. The problem is that in Latin America, you have to reserve your grapes, kind of like you people reserve your turkey. You have to reserve your grapes, and you better count correctly how many people are coming to your house, because you cannot find grapes after December 24th. Like, there are no grapes.
Yeah. How do you keep your grapes fresh from Christmas to?
Oh no, well, like you put the order, and so they know how many, and like you will be but it's like the turkeys.
Order them in advance.
Like,
yeah.
You're not gonna find good grapes on the December 30th. No.
That's crazy. Okay. So you have these traditions. You've introduced them to some of your friends in non-diverse
and now they
Oregon.
all do them.
Yeah.
So
that's great.
One of the, like, my favorite one is that you run around the block with your suitcase so that you get to travel a lot during the new year.
Yeah.
Now wherever they are, they send pictures to me or videos of them running around with suitcases, or they like text me, do I need to pack the suitcase? I'm like, no. Like, just make your life easy. Just empty suitcase, just run.
Yeah. Just do it with the suitcase you have.
Yeah, whatever.
Tell me more about the code switching though, because I'm used to it in like the lamest sense. And the sense that I'm used to it is that I lived in the South for like 10 years. And so I'm not from the South, but I lived there for long enough that I picked up like part of the Southern accent. And so now whenever I go down to the South to like visit friends in New Orleans or Atlanta, I will notice like over time that I start saying y'all more, and I start like speaking in more of a like Southern accent, because there's all types of code switching, right? So that's the way that I understand it, but it must be different for you.
Well, it's just funny that you mentioned that, because I also code switch between Colombia and Ecuador. So the minute I step in Ecuadorian territory, when I brought my husband and my daughter last year, somebody came and asked me something and I answered in an Ecuadorian accent, and my daughter just looked at me like,
what happened there? What just happened?
What? Also, because it's not just the accent.
Yeah.
In Ecuador, there's a huge indigenous population. Like a huge percent of the population is indigenous. And the terminology or slang that they use incorporates a lot of indigenous words from Quechua, but they incorporate them into their thing. So it's not even Spanish, but they're intermingled. And so I said something, and like she really literally doesn't understand what I'm saying, because I'm not speaking Spanish. And she's like, what the heck did you just say?
Yeah.
And like, how did, like, my mother, what happened to my mother? So there's that code switching between like Colombian Sylvia and Ecuadorian Sylvia. And then there's like, I think the bigger one is English Sylvia to Spanish Sylvia.
And that happens like when you go out in the community. Also, like, do you feel like Spanish Sylvia is a different personality, because language like informs so much of your personality? The way that you speak in Spanish is different from how you express yourself in English. So like you're two different people.
Absolutely. I know, like, for example, we have a common friend, Still We Rise, Lindsay. Like she's
still on this. She was
I don't know
on
if
this
she's still
earlier.
here. That she thinks that I don't cuss, but it's just that I don't really cuss in English. I remember that we were having and I was very angry, and I might have used the F word. Like, I don't tend to cuss in English. It's just like, but I am like such a potty mouth in Spanish. Like even just that. Like
I want that, Sylvia. How do I get that one?
If
we're in Colombia at the same time, we have to travel together.
It is like a language personality thing. So it would be kind of not weird. It's just like, I don't know how to like activate her. It might be easier to get to her. So I'm a very cheap date.
Okay. That's not a bad thing, especially in this economy.
So Lindsay's asking if Lulu approves, like, does she approve of my potty mouth? That's a good question.
Lulu's the dog, not
Lulu.
the kid.
No, Lulu is the daughter. Samba is the dog. I'm a very cheap date. I usually don't drink, but like if I have like 2 drinks, I turn into Gloria Pritchett, aka Sofia Vergara from Modern Family. Like my accent just goes like, "Hey, Eve, what are you talking about?" Like my control of what would be an English accent, like I don't know, something happens to my mouth, and I just like it relaxes, and then I'm just like, it's okay. And I give salsa lessons, like all these things, but then I have a very short span and then I fall asleep.
Yeah. Okay.
So
that happens to me too. I really can have like 2 drinks and then I'm done for the evening.
I'm just like, okay. And then I just sit in a corner and just go.
Yeah. Okay, well, at some point,
lose the filters.
At some point, I want to see the Sofia Vergara Sylvia.
There's one thing. So this is a funny thing for people to understand about, like, Sofia Vergara is from the coast of Colombia, where they are more like, her character is a little like off in Modern Family, but it is closer to reality, right? Like they're more comfortable with their bodies. They will like wear cleavage and like they're loud. People from Bogota are more like reserved. Like we wear turtlenecks and jackets and like we're more
literally buttoned up.
Yeah. And so there's like that rivalry between the capital people and the people from the coast. So I don't go to like that extreme. Like my cleavage. Oh, so sexy.
Totally covered. Yes.
Yeah. Long sleeve in the summer.
I love it.
But I do like loosen up way more. So there's, you're gonna get that version.
One day I'm going to see that. I do think that code switching sometimes is a defense mechanism though, right? Because you're like, even if it's subconscious, you're trying to fit in. And some of it can just be like involuntary. You don't even think about it. Just like you're with a group of people who are all sounding the same. You want to fit in, so you do that. Or in today's landscape in the US, some of it can be like for safety reasons. Like you said before, you don't want to stand out, probably for multiple reasons, you know? But do you feel like you see other people like kind of toning themselves down to not draw so much attention to themselves?
We are. Like we are having these conversations in our WhatsApp, like, what are we doing? I was just talking to like one of my best friends. She's also Colombian. I've known her for over 40 years, but she is another Colombian, blonde, white. I don't know what color her eyes are. I think they're like a light brown. But she has more of an accent, I guess. So people notice that there's an accent, but then in their heads they can't compute because it doesn't match what their their preconception of what a Latina should look like. So they're like, "Where are you from?" And she and I have talked about how in the past we have adjusted our accent in certain ways not to stick out. And then I told her how, for example, now, like, this is how I speak English, right? But there are certain things, like, I'm not going to Americanize Spanish words. Like, I'm not going to say chicharrón. Like, there's going to be a
Please do not say that. That sounds horrible. Don't say that.
But, like, I feel like lightning is going to strike me and I'm going to be dead in, like, no. Same thing with the word no. Like, to me, the word no is N-O. No, it's not no. Like, no, like Americans do. I'm like, no. Yeah. So then immediately that one I think gives me away super fast. Or if I say anything that is like a Spanish sounding word, or when I say like my dog's name is Samba. I don't say like Samba or like, Samba. No, Samba. Like it's more like Samba. You have, how many vowel sounds does English have? Is like 20 something. We have 5. A, E, I, O, U. That's it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
So those are my vowel ranges. I have made fun of myself because I used to be a bar method instructor. And sometimes I would have 3 Annas in the same class.
Oh.
But they pronounce it Anna, or Anna, like.
Yeah. Anna.
And I'm like, and I would have to be like, I'm sorry, my mouth doesn't do that.
Yeah.
You're wearing a purple top, so you're a purple Anna, black Anna, green Anna. Like, just...
Okay, so Anna is hard, but Americans also talk with a very like nasally tone, which I think is hard for non-native American English speakers to replicate. So it's not like an easy thing. We really talk like this.
A little bit. And you close your mouth a lot. The word salmon, so hard.
Salmon.
My husband will not, or he will like turn the menu and say, I'll have this. Like he refuses to
I would like number 10 on the menu.
Yes. We avoid saying that, like the pigfish, like we are not gonna.
Okay, so I have a question for you. And this is like, I'm channeling my dad right now. I feel like there is a debate among like English speaking Americans on how to say the word S-A-L-S-A.
Salsa.
Okay, so I think it's salsa, right? Just with an American accent. My dad says salsa, like with a Z. Salsa. What is a salsa?
Nothing. I think it's Eve's dad. Salsa.
I would
be like an American. Salsa. Oh, Hernan, my husband, is now being angry. I don't know if he's angry about the salmon.
I think he's mad at the salsa.
Oh, the salsa. Yeah, not salsa. No, because it would Z.
I think that has to do with where he was raised in the US and just having like different accents, because where he was raised, there's also like other words, like instead of water, it's water. And instead of orange, like the color orange or the fruit, it's orange. Orange, like one syllable.
Oh, yeah, no.
Okay, so we code switch, right? We do it for different reasons. We started talking about how you do it a lot in your community to try to not stand out, because this is not the time to stand out, especially, I mean, you were telling me before that you're often, before you open your mouth, you could just look like a white woman and people wouldn't know, but then you open your mouth.
And I'm aware of that. So even knowing that I look like this, because even Latinos in my audience will like DM me and they're like, there's a Mexican term, guerrilla, like, which means like a white Caucasian. And I'm like, no, I'm Colombian. So even if I just like keep my mouth shut and I don't move my hips, I can like, you know, blend in a little with the crowd, right? The minute I open my mouth and I say no, or like pull out my child for something, like they'll know. Even having that white privilege of being a white passing woman, I'm aware of it. And I know that my Colombian friends who we're very close to that I mentioned earlier, who are darker skinned, they have thicker accents. They're all trying to just like minimize any kind of attention they could get.
Yeah, it's not surprising. And I want to make sure we get to the article that you wrote on your Substack a few weeks ago, I think. Yeah.
I think it was like a month ago already. I don't know. Time in this administration.
Yeah. Kind of flies and kind of moves at a snail's pace at the same time, because you just can't keep up with everything. But everything you're saying, I can totally understand, because you wrote on your Substack about these two boys. You broke this story. There were like two boys in Echo Park in California. Your friend posted on them on Threads, I think. And then you followed up and wrote like an in-depth article. And they were two Latino U.S. citizen teens, right?
I don't even know. They looked Hispanic. So to fill everybody in, it was a friend of mine who posted this on Threads. So I felt like I could trust the source because I know her. And she was in Echo Park when all of this started happening in LA. And the woman at the store just like, I don't know, just felt comfortable talking to my friend and just opened up. And then my friend Erica recounted the story just to make people aware about what was happening. It was like two Hispanic looking young men. We don't know if they're Hispanic. That part is still unclear. Who were taken away and disappeared for a weekend. I don't know how they found them, but they were like 16 and 17 years old. U.S. citizen
minors.
So I shared the story. This thing absolutely blew up. It became viral everywhere. Immediately when I saw the story and I shared it with my husband, with my friend Jennifer, and a few other Colombian friends, we all had the same connection to Colombian history, which is what I wrote the article about. Back in the early 2000s, there was an incentive in the Colombian military to, I guess, catch and incarcerate or like win against the guerrillas. And in Colombia, the guerrillas are like the extreme far left paramilitary. Now, this parallel that I'm telling you occurred to me, my husband, and like all of our friends was because ICE now has incentives of like how many people or like target numbers of how many people they need to like detain per day.
They have quotas. They have daily quotas.
That's the word. So they had quotas also in the military, or they had incentives. Like the more you get promoted, or you get like all these things. Well, what happened? There's a term that I learned in Freakonomics called the Cobra effect, which is when like things backfire on you. What happened is that the Colombian military started, people wanted promotions and they wanted, a better life. So what they did was absolutely horrible. They lured low-income farm workers and they killed them. And they dressed them as if they were part of this paramilitary guerrilla to get those incentives and those promotions. And then this story broke out later. It's called the story of the false positives that I wrote about, but it's all tied to these quotas. And it's a horrible, horrible history of Colombia. But it was very scary how now, like, we see ICE just like out of control everywhere across the whole country. The quota situation, I'm like, what? Clearly, you're not catching the criminal. Like, anybody here in like our audience watching me understands that this is not going to be the people that they said that they were going to catch. They're going to end up catching U.S. citizens, green card holders, non-criminals, all these things. But it's the danger of these like
Giving anybody like a numerical metric that they need to hit is then like contributing added pressure to hitting that number, regardless of whether you're actually hitting it with people who meet the criteria or not. So it sounds like in your story, these military members were just grabbing farmers kind of off of their properties because they needed to fill these quotas and killing them and then dressing them up to look like they were guerrilla fighters. And then here, ICE agents...
they also lured them with like promises, like they offered jobs and like these people would go and like move to other parts to like pursue these jobs, and then these people would completely disappear and nobody knew where they were. Turns out they were dead.
And so you see, that's crazy that like your reaction to seeing the activity of ICE in LA is drawing this parallel to people being disappeared by the military in Colombia.
I was like, is it just me? And then I checked with Jennifer and then Hernan, my husband, like, and several people were like, yep. Like this is like very similar to the Colombian history, which a lot of people don't even know about. And I'm like, okay, we need to make people aware. And in fact, like what you were saying before, this is not even just like, this example is a little bit more of like direct parallels of like people abusing power against other human beings. But like whenever you have these incentives, like, do you remember, I don't remember the specifics, but remember, I think it was like Wells Fargo that had a scandal because they incentivized their employees and then they started opening up bank accounts and under the names of customers, and the customers didn't know. Obviously, this is way worse. But it's just like when you give these random quotas for promotions, people are going to get greedy and they're going to get creative.
Yeah. We talk a lot about this. You know, our whole background is reproductive health, so I can draw this parallel, but we talk a lot about this in terms of the dangers of having metrics for family planning doctors, because whenever there's a situation where a medical facility is like, you need to make sure that you give at least X number of patients birth control this year or this month, and they have like monthly quotas of people that they need to see, you always have to question whether how much consent was involved, right? And like, are people coming? Do they actually want the birth control that you're offering, or are doctors just trying to hit that quota? And that happens in a number of different medical circumstances where, I mean, quotas can be a good thing because in some ways they provide equity to make sure that, you know, you're meeting the needs of a whole different number of people, but not always, and definitely not in the case of what happened in Colombia, and definitely not in the case of ICE. What's happening with ICE.
Yeah.
So what happened with this story of the boys in Echo Park?
The boys, according to I think it was her aunt. Yeah, two nephews, her aunt. She said that they were able to get released and they were being checked by hospitals and stuff like that. After I shared the story, it blew up overnight. It was bizarre because like I shared the story and I went to bed, and in the morning, this thing had been like, oh, and I had, for the first time, or maybe one of like the few times in my life that I had reporters contacting me because they wanted to follow up, which is great because they want to follow up. But then I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I'm texting my friend Erica, like, hey, like, what are we going to do? We had at least 5 different networks contact us to try to follow up. We gave them the location of the store where she went, all the information. One of the reporters, I believe she was from CBS, finally told me she was able to get a hold of somebody at the store, and this lady's lawyer told them not to talk to the press. I have no control of that anymore. Yeah. However, I do think it was important to share this so people like wake up to what is happening, and we explain like, look, we're not investigative reporters. However, I didn't see like Erica wasn't trying to get like famous or anything. Yeah. She was sharing a story about what was happening in LA. I happened to amplify it. Clearly, it resonated with a lot of people. And the interesting thing is that there was a very direct parallel with, if you remember, that Brazilian immigrant who had been taken from Massachusetts, I believe the week prior, and he was taken to an ICE facility for 6 days without a shower. So it's like, don't tell me that this is like some random thing that you've never heard about when, what was his name? I have him right here.
Well, I think it was important that you told this story though, because you used a trusted source. There could be any number of reasons why the woman that your friend spoke to, she may be afraid for her own safety. Like there are multiple reasons why she didn't want to go public with that story. But I think it was important to tell, not just because of the idea that these two minors were pulled off the street, but also like what happened to them in the interim, which we didn't go into, which according to what you wrote was that they disappeared for like 24 hours. Their parents had no idea where they were. They weren't contacted by anybody. So their kids literally went missing for a day, which I'm not a parent, but I can imagine as a parent, that is probably the most terrifying 24 hours of your life. And then you said when they got returned to their parents, one of the kids was like injured fairly badly. And they reported that they were kept in some like random basement and they hadn't gotten medical care for this like cut on his head. Did I get all that right?
And they had marks on their wrist from the zip tie handcuffs that were used on these kids.
So your
you're
child
absolutely right.
Was gone for 24 hours and then was returned to you injured, having not received any medical care, and you had no idea where they were. That is psychotic.
I would need to be put in a hospital. My daughter was missing for 20 minutes one time. I nearly lost my mind. And if I recall that experience and I have to tell it to you, I'll start crying. 20 minutes. I lost my damn mind. I was going to install a chip inside of her. Like I had to be talked out like, no, because I was going to like buy some like Apple tracker device. And I'm like, I need to know exactly where she is.
I was gonna ask if you put an AirTag on her, but that's iPhones have those. So
well, she doesn't have, but I was gonna buy a like AirTag and like send her to school. And my nephew walked me down, was like, no, Thea, it's gonna be, and I was like, I didn't let her sleep in her room for 3 nights after that. For 20 minutes, Eve, 20 minutes she was gone. And I chased her. I was like, I'm going to the bathroom, you're coming with me. Like I lost my mind.
I mean, I think that's every parent's biggest fear is not knowing where their child is. Yeah.
And 2, like I wouldn't even know what to do. No wonder this poor woman in the store like needed to talk to somebody. And I don't know, like she went through this, but I'm so glad that my friend Erica was there because Erica is a lovely human that clearly listened. She's like, I was there for 45 minutes listening to this woman.
She needed someone to tell this to. And so I think it's good that people hear these stories because a lot of them are kept under tight lock and key unless they hit mass media. And this one never did because the woman wouldn't open up about it, but that doesn't mean that it didn't happen. And there's so many people who I think are afraid to tell stories of things that have happened to loved ones for their own safety because this administration is completely unpredictable. Like if they're picking up U.S. citizens, which there have been other stories of that happening. It's not just this one that, you know, the family wouldn't validate. We know that it's happening. More people need to hear about this, but people are terrified, which is why like bringing this all full circle is very understandable why people who may have an accent or aren't white passing or use a lot of hand gestures kind of dim their light because in this environment, people are just scared. They are just scared.
And then even now, naturalized citizens, we don't know what's going to happen. And I'm like, okay, are you going to take away my U.S. citizenship? Like, because I speak against you?
And that was my next question is like, how do you keep doing this work? What keeps you going?
Just like, well, okay, this is going to sound cheesy, but it's like I have inspiration from friends like you. So I've been doing this for over 8 years. I started after the first Trump administration. I had no idea what the heck I was doing. I'm a computer engineer that did not grow up in the United States. I didn't know what gerrymandering was, much less the filibuster was some weird thing that politicians did wearing diapers. I did not understand anything.
Oh my God.
And then he gets elected and I was like, what is going on? And then what I noticed was a huge gap in information to Latinos by Latinos. And I was like, okay, let's try. And then there was nothing. So then I'm like, well, I'm going to do it. The problem is that I don't understand what anything is. So I would have to like study for 8 hours a day to then like break it down in a newsletter. And the way I used to write was kind of like a grandmother. It was very formal. It was like, I don't know. It was just weird. And then fast forward, and we're here now. But this time around, it's worse, but this time around, I'm not alone because the last time I was completely alone by myself. I didn't know anybody else doing this kind of work. I mean, I saw them, but I didn't.
And by this kind of work, you mean like political content creation and like political activism in the social media space? Yeah,
exactly. I mean, I saw people doing it, like Pod Save America, but like I can't text John Favreau.
Right. They're huge.
Like, no. And then also they're a little too political, like, what do you call it? Like DC speak, like normal people don't understand. Like
they're policy wonks. Like they're very wonky.
And then they name drop all these people that they know. right? But I went to a Pod Save America show here in Portland and I loved it. But I went with my husband. I mean, my husband has to like live with me and hears me doing all these things. He couldn't follow what they were saying. Like it was so inside politics that he's like, what is that? You and I follow politics 24/7 and we follow all these things and all. But I'm like, do regular people know who you're talking about? No.
Yeah.
Like regular people cannot distinguish when I say, please call your reps. They don't understand that I'm saying call your U.S. representative from their senator. And it is not their fault. It is on me to be specific and say like, hey, I need you to call your senator or I need you to call your U.S. House representative, not your senator. Like it is on me to be more specific and I shouldn't assume that everybody follows. So there was that very high level political, huge content creator, but not like regular people doing it that I could text. I can now text you and I'm like, Eve, what's going on?
Yeah.
Like, how do I talk about this?
You can always text
like,
me and vice versa. I reach out to you too.
Right? So I think that also helps because like there are some days like when I text Lindsay, I'm like, I can't with the world. Like I can't. I just need to like go play Nintendo because I can't. And then eventually I log back on to like social media and I see what my friends are doing. I'm like, okay, I got my break. I can keep doing it.
I think what we do has a very high burnout rate. But I also want to give some credit to you that like you're saying like it's my responsibility to educate. I mean, we have taken on some of that hat, but also the U.S. does not have a good education system on like civics and government. I think I took like one class on this in high school, and for other people, there's not even standalone classes. It's all rolled into like social studies. And so by the time you hit adulthood, like you don't have like the best baseline of how civics and government work. So how would you understand politics today? But I think what you just explained that like you learned it kind of from scratch when you took on this content creator journey. I have to say, I have exponentially learned about politics in the last 3 years since Pari and I have started our, political activism online. And I hope that that's kind of inspiring to other folks because it means that like we haven't carried political careers with us our whole lives. We have learned it along the way and we're happy to be like a mouthpiece for people now to break it down in an easier way than how we learned it. But there's always time to learn it and there's always time to become an activist. So I want to close by saying that I've learned so many things from talking to you today. And I'm glad that we got to start this conversation like a few days ago. And then we're like, I think other people would be interested in this. Let's do it live. We need to teach you how to say salmon because we need you to
salmon. Oh, and then there's tortoise, that one. Tortoise.
Okay. We'll work on it. We'll work on it. But only when you feel the need to fit in, because otherwise you should say it however the flip you want.
Salmon.
How can people find you?
I am at tono.latino on Instagram. And I am Latino Lens on Substack. And I don't just talk about Latino stuff on Substack, though I do cover sometimes like overlooked things or things that people don't realize. Because back to your point about civics, I work with a lot of people who want to reach Latinos or Latino Lindsay's trying to teach me sailmen. No, forget it.
Yes, you nailed it.
Sailmen.
Close enough.
No, like for example, if you're trying to educate naturalized citizens, that means that we grew up under a different system of government. As a Colombian, like a person that was born in Colombia, we don't register to vote. So all of this, like you can translate register to vote from here until, what is it? The cows come home, which I have no idea what that means.
Excellent. Yes. Excellent use of an American idiom. Go you.
It doesn't mean anything to me. Vote early doesn't mean anything to me. It means vote at 8 o'clock in the morning. It doesn't mean vote 2 weeks early because we don't have 2 weeks of voting. We vote one day. It's a holiday. It's a Sunday. And we've had no sales of alcohol for the last 48 hours. So I cover these things like, hey, you might want to like take into account that you need, number one, saying anything in Spanish is like 20% more words. And like literally I'm telling you what if a translator is going to charge you, they charge by the word and they'll charge you 20% more of what the English text says. And you need to add this additional context because you can't just like translate vote early. You're like, no, in the United States, there's something like a voting window of like 2 weeks, depending on the state. Like you have to like add all this extra information so that the naturalized citizens that speak Spanish understand like, okay, so like I can go on a different day? What is this double idea? because this is not what we're used to.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so if you could describe all of that it entails your Substack publication and your social media work, how would you describe it in like a sentence?
Politics from a Latino perspective.
Okay, that nailed it, because I know
with a little salsa.
With salsa.
Not salsa. Salsa.
All right, so politics with a little Latina salsa.
There we go.
Everybody knows that they can find us on Instagram and TikTok at Gemma_talks and Pari and Eve on Substack and our Repro Ready publication.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Women in America. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with your network and don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. For additional resources, follow us on social media at Gemma_talks. See you next week.